welcome to our special virtual presentation of the 8th Biennial Winkie Awards. I'm Mark Wainman, president of Quick as a Wink Theatre Society.
And I'm Mike Butler. I'll be the charming, funny, and talented half of the host this year.
Mike, I have to say I'm really proud to be hosting again with you. We've been doing this together since 2014, and I've really enjoyed our time together.
I'm excited as well. This past year hasn't really allowed us to perform as much as we would have in the past, but there is a ton of great moments to celebrate from the 5 shows on the tickets tonight.
Absolutely. In 2019, we jumped into the world of mystery and horror with Baskerville and Dracula.
Master!
And we were able to celebrate triumph and achievement loudly and proudly in our musicals Oliver and Legally Blonde.
And 2020 kicked off amazingly with Sister Act, led by first-time Quick as a Wink director Susan Spence Campbell. It was a fantastic start to what would have been an epic year, but we all know how that ended.
We're not going to dwell on the ongoing pandemic, Mike, but we will revisit its impact on performing arts later in the show. Before we move on, we'll give you a bit of an idea how tonight's going to work. Throughout the broadcast, we'll take a look back at Quick as a Wink events 2019-2020. We'll hear from our volunteers, our actors, production teams, community partners, and audience members.
Mark and I reached out to some of the cast and crew of the shows to chat about their productions, and we'll share those interviews with you tonight.
We also got all the directors from 2019-2020 performances together on Zoom. We had a great time chatting about Quick as a Wink. That interview's coming up later in the show.
And of course we have the awards. The Winkie Awards recognize all those people who come together to allow Quick as a Wink to offer high-quality community theater to the West Hants region and beyond. While each award is given to one person during the ceremony, the spirit of this award show is to recognize each and every person who either helps produce a show or any of the events that happen, and every person who enjoys the final product with us from the comfy seats of the audience.
Each award is chosen in one of 2 specific methods. Based on feedback from previous Winkie Awards, we developed these methods prior to the 2019 season. Implemented this decision process over the last 2 years.
First, there are awards chosen by a defined cohort where the winner is determined by earning the most votes from eligible voters. These awards include several awards like the People's Choice Award, as voted on by the general public, the Board's Choice Award, as chosen by the Board of Directors of Quick as a Wink, the Founders Award, as chosen by Michelle Herks, who is the founder of Quick as a Wink Theatre Society.
All right, and after the 2018 Winkie Awards, the committee in charge of the event took feedback received by participants, nominees, family members, volunteers, and award winners, and we brainstormed a method for fairly choosing the best of categories. The result of that brainstorming was the Winkie Award panel, a group of hand-picked members of the community with training and experience in aspects of performing and visual arts. Our panel included professionally trained musicians, music teachers, painters, singers, theater teachers, professionally trained actors, and longtime theater goers.
The panel attended every performance and then answered a comprehensive survey of questions that allowed the Winkie Committee to qualify their feedback. Next, after each performance, the general public was invited to participate in a smaller survey. That feedback, too, was quantified and added to the results of the panelists' surveys. The result of this process was the assignment of a value to each nominee, with the highest value being awarded the Winkie.
And the whole process was done immediately following each production, so there was no impact on results as there would be if all the shows were voted on at the same time, given that some shows would be more fresh in your memory.
And after all of that, we are confident the choice of winners is as unbiased as possible. So let's see how we did. Can I give away an award now, please?
I think that's a great idea, Mike. Why don't you give away the Golden Monocle Award?
The nominees for the Golden Monocle Award are... And the winner is...
Congratulations. Thank you for your continued support of live performing arts in your community.
Now, let's look back at 2019 and 2020. There were some great memories in these shows.
Yeah, there certainly were. Let's take a look.
friends as the Artful Dodger.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Duckins.
Come to think of it, I ain't got no intimate friends. Still, what's the difference? You're coming with me?
You sure Mr. Fagin will mind?
Mind? Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself one of the family. I take to you so strong. It's clear we're going to get along. Consider yourself well in. Consider yourself part of the burning town. There isn't a lot to spare. Who cares? Whatever we got, we share. If it's a chance to read, we should take some holidays. Empty holidays.
my stick. What a relief. I wouldn't lose it for the world.
A presentation, I see.
Indeed. From Charing Cross Hospital when I moved to the country. I was a student at the time. I take it I'm addressing Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
How do you do? This is my friend, Dr. Watson.
How do you do?
And this is Mrs. Hudson.
How do you do, sir?
Tea, Mrs. Hudson?
Yes, I'd love some. Oh, right away, sir.
Shall I begin, sir?
Please.
So I have here a manuscript.
Mid-18th century, unless it's a forgery.
1742 to be exact. Handed down to me for over a century and committed to me for safekeeping by my friend Sir Charles Baskerville, whose sudden death 3 weeks ago created so much excitement in Devonshire.
Appears to be a statement of some sort.
Well, may I read it to you?
Have a seat.
Of the origins of the Hound of the Baskervilles.
How?
Know then that in the time of the Great Rebellion, the manor of Baskerville was held by one Hugo of a most wild, profane, and godless nature. It chanced then that this Hugo came to love the daughter of a yeoman who held lands near Baskerville, but the maiden feared his evil ways and would ever avoid him. So it came to pass that one Michaelmas, this Hugo, with 5 or 6 of his wicked companions, stole down upon the farm of the maiden and carried her off. And when they brought her to Baskerville Hall, the maiden was placed in an upper chamber, while Hugo and his friends sat down to a long carouse, as was their custom. Now the poor lass upstairs was like to have her wits turned by the singing and shouting, and in the stress of fear she did that which might have daunted the bravest of men, for by the aid of the ivy which covered the south wall, she came down from the eaves, and so began homeward across the moor. Now it chanced that some small time later, Hugo found the cage empty and the bird escaped, whereupon rushing down the stairs he sprang upon the table and cried,
"If I can but overtake that wench this very night, I shall render up my body to the powers of evil! Now, saddle my mare, unkennel the pack, and put the hounds upon her!"
Taking to their horses in pursuit, the revellers had gone but a mile when they passed a shepherdess, and cried to her to know if she had seen the hunt. The woman was crazed with fear and could hardly speak, but at last recounted.
I have seen the maiden, and the dogs, and then Sir Hugo passed me upon his mare, and there behind him ran such a hound of hell as man has never looked upon.
The drunken squires rode on, but soon their skins turned cold, for they came across the dogs who, though known for the valor of their breed, were whimpering in a cluster at the head of a ditch. And there, in the moonlight, lay the unhappy maiden, where she had fallen dead of fear. But it was not the sight of her body, or that of Sir Hugo lying nearby, which raised the hair upon their heads, but standing over him, and plucking at his throat, was a foul thing, a great black beast, shaped like a hound, yet larger than any hound that ever mortal eye has rested upon. And even as they looked, the thing tore the throat to Sir Hugo.
Continue.
I am here because of the sudden death 3 weeks ago of my friend and patient Sir Charles Baskerville at the very same estate in Devon.
Perfect match, 'cause you both got the
May you enter freely and go safely, leaving something of the happiness you bring.
You must be Count Dracula.
I am Dracula. And I bid you welcome, Mr. Harker. Come in. The night air is chill, we must need eat and rest. The trip is arduous, but the destination worthwhile.
I bought the information about the properties you requested in England. First
Mr.
of all,
Harker.
yes?
You have traveled far. Please, allow your host to see to your pleasure before you see to this business. I do hope you're hungry.
I am actually.
And I pray you, sit and sup as you please. I trust that you will excuse that I do not join you, for I have dined already, and I do not sup. A gift from Attila. The hands were despicable, but they knew their line.
Oh, I see. Passed down then from an old family recipe.
A gift from an ancient adversary.
Well, won't you join me then?
Well, won't you join me then?
Excuse me?
My apologies, Mr. Harker, but I must study you. I must learn your ways. How is it?
Oh. It's delicious.
Yes.
You don't partake?
Of wine?
Yes.
No. Not of wine.
If I may be so bold as to...
Bold! Yes! Is that the way of things in London? Bold! Please, Mr. Harker, I must know all I can of your city.
You've never been yourself?
No. But I have my maps and my charts. Oh, and my books. Many books. And as I read, I imagine. And as I imagine, I hunger.
Well, London is a fine city.
More to the point, friend. It is a crowded city. Oh, how I delight in thinking of the bustling street people with the rush and the whirl of humanity. Oh, to be in the midst of that banquet of life.
I think I should prefer the countryside. All those open spaces, the fishing and the hunting.
You hunt, do you?
Oh, when time allows.
And pray, what do you hunt?
Oh, boar, elk, the occasional deer.
I shall like you, Mr. Harker. I too enjoy the occasional deer. We are fighters, you see. We Carpathians of bravery and conquest in our veins. It is no wonder that when the Magyars, the Roma, the Avar, or the Turk poured their thousands upon our frontier. We drove them back! Legion after legion, they came for our land, but we sentenced them to heaven instead. We are a fierce people, Mr. Harker. With the vows of victories like the Habsburgs and the Romanovs will never know.
Well, you speak with the passion of one who was there.
Da Vinci, have I known. Charlemagne, Bach, but great men, like galaxies, end as dust. Now we Carpathians have come to learn that the early times, the warlike days, are over. And in our world, Mr. Harker, blood is too precious a thing to be spilled. It is near morning. I have spoken too long. I leave you then to your rest. One thing, Mr. Harker. You may go anywhere in the castle, except where the doors are locked. We are in Transylvania. Transylvania is not England. Our ways are not your ways, and there shall be to you many strange things. But could you see with my eyes and know, with my knowledge, you will better understand. Good night, then, and good morning.
I see what's going on here. Mother Superior sent in a ringer. She's been trying to get back at me ever since that folk mask fiasco of '67. And now she's got Diane Carroll coming in and wearing away and taking over.
Sister Mary Lazarus, you're terrific, but we really could use some help.
I don't want to take over your job, but you know I can help you. You aren't afraid of hard work, are you? Hard work? I'm a nun. My life is like the Stations of the Cross, but without the laughs. You may go with a joke. Well, good luck. Now, sisters, listen up. When you are singing, it's not just the notes. You are rejoicing, you are praising the Lord. First rule of singing, get the after the ringing, toss everything, dig down deep inside. When you've got a song worth hearing, there's one thing to do. Just keep your fear from interfering and let that silence raise a
I had goosebumps watching that, Mark.
So many great memories from that clip. And did you notice how many kids there were in some of those larger musicals?
Kids play such an important role in these shows, and of course, Quick as a Wink in general. It is a great place for young people to get involved in the performing arts.
Yeah, I've seen so many young performers start with us and grow up to pursue their professional dreams with formal training. And some have gone on to study and develop their craft into a profession, and that's very exciting to watch.
The last 2 years were no exception. Some great performances by kids in 2019 and 2020, and one of them is going to be recognized with the Rising Star Award.
The Rising Star Award recognizes young people who bring their talents to the theater. Nominees must be 16 years of age or under and must have had a character with a name and lines in a show or were listed as a principal dancer.
The nominees for Rising Star are and the Rising Star Award goes to Melanie Venn in Sister Act.
Melanie, you were so amazing in Sister Act. Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Joni, and in the 2019 season, I was in Oliver, and I helped backstage at Legally Blonde. Although usually I like being on stage, one of my favorite memories from these shows is being a dog handler backstage at Legally Blonde. We made sure that the dogs were comfortable, entertained, and also ready for their next cue. So as you can imagine, we had some time to spare in between said cues. The energy backstage during this show was through the roof, and also very contagious. Those who weren't on stage were dancing off stage. So the dogs looked very confused when during Bend and Snap, the dog handlers went out into the hallway and started dancing very enthusiastically. I love being a part of Quick as a Wink. It is a safe space that allows me to be my own person, but also someone entirely different, and I can't wait for it to start up again.
When you come to live theater, you're treated to a visual representation of a script. Many decisions are made between the initial reading of that script and opening night, and each of these decisions is made deliberately to fulfill the vision of the director. In order for the director's vision to come to life, they need a team of people working alongside of them to make sure that their vision carries through the decisions on scenic design, construction, costuming, painting, and functionality. With the director, the costume and scenic designers decide what to show and what not to show, to give the audience the desired insight into the themes of the script.
Let's recognize some of them now. The nominees for Best Scenic Design and Construction are and the winner is Thea Burton, Justin Brown, and Monty Sheffield for Oliver.
Congratulations. The nominees for Best Costume Design are and the winner is Laurie O'Brien from Dracula.
Yay. I can tell you firsthand that the costume design and the process for costuming for Dracula were well planned. Congratulations to the winners of both of those awards. In front of those scenes, though, is where most of the action happens. In musicals, the main action and storyline is accented by musical numbers, dancing. The choreography is yet another set of clearly planned decisions meant to carry on the artistic vision of the director. This time, through dance. Realizing that vision is the role of the principal dancers.
The nominees for performance by principal dancer are There'll be 2 winners for this award. And the winners are Becca Gilderson and Laura Gillis, both from Legally Blonde.
That was such a great show. Amazing dancing. This is actually, I think, Becca won 2 years ago for Principal Dancer as well.
No surprise.
No
surprise.
It's,
very, very talented.
And the nominees for Best Choreography are and the winner for Best Choreography goes to... See my dance moves?
I did.
Laura Gillis for Legally Blonde.
Congratulations, Laura. I'm really, really glad I did not have a dancing practice, as I'm sure you are.
Oh,
I'm
super excited you did not.
I wouldn't have been able to keep up with your choreography. But it was fun to watch from the wings, and the energy was electric.
My favorite memory from Sister Act is something that happened before every show. Myself and the lovely Sarah Peck, who played the Tina to my Michelle, the lovely backup singers for Dolores in our show, would constantly be right before the show on opposite wings of the stage, with eyesight with each other, but totally hidden from the audience by our set and the scenery that we had. And because of this, before every show, we would be practicing our choreography while the audience came into the theater, and we had a direct visual on each other, but they couldn't see us. We'd be there secretly dancing off the wings, laughing with each other, having a great time. It was always a struggle trying not to laugh because we were worried the audience would hear us, but it always got our energy up to where it needed to be to kick off the show and just led to a really fun time and some great energy.
There are so many unsung heroes in the production of live theater. What you see as an audience member is the tip of the iceberg, the finished product from countless hours of work from many months.
An unsung hero in theater is someone who puts their efforts and time into the unseen aspects of theater performance, most of which happen either behind the scenes or leading up to the production. To recognize our unsung heroes, Quick as a Wink uses the Pat Court GC Award, named lovingly after an amazing woman who poured her heart and soul into the behind-the-scenes work for Quick as a Wink Theater. In its very first decade, Pat did so much work. No matter what show, Pat was a professional who valued the community spirit, teamwork, and culture of live community theater. Pat passed on much of her knowledge to other stage managers and stage crew who worked with her. We miss her and love Pat, and we are honored to carry on her memory with this award.
The nominees for the Pat Court GC Award are
And the award goes to
Francesca Cornetta. I played the Artful Dodger in Quick as a Wink's 2019 production of Oliver. One of probably, for me, the most oops moments that, I look back and I laugh at it now. Moments for me during the show was when Dodger runs out and tells Fagin that he's basically lost Oliver. And Fagin grabs Dodger by the lapels of his coat, and Fagin is supposed to pull the jacket over my head. Basically, Dodger kind of wriggles out of his grip. And during one show, Fagin grabbed both the lapels of Dodger's coat and the cravat I was wearing. And the cravat was pinned on me, it was not coming off. And so we struggled for a few seconds, and there was a fair bit of struggling and a few tugs, and then Fagin realized, okay, this coat is not coming off. And so we just kind of left it at that, and I just, sidled out. But it was kind of a moment backstage, what happened? What was that? Or why didn't the coat thing work? And it's always funny to me now. It's always funny.
Sometimes running the theater requires some special skills that would otherwise not be used during the day-to-day operations of Quick as a Wink. To recognize those people, we have nominated the following nominees for Outstanding Special Projects. And the winner for Outstanding Special Projects goes to...
Each year, the Board of Directors nominates several volunteers who have exceeded their expectations in the respective area of volunteering. We've had several people who were considered this year, and I'm happy to announce that the winner of the Board's Choice Winkie Award is...
Up next is our Founders Award, which is chosen by the founder of Quick as a Wink, Michelle Herks. Michelle couldn't be with us this year, but she sent us her words in a letter, which I will read to you now. The Founders Award winner for 2020. The Founders Award is presented each year in honor of the founder of Quick as a Wink, Michelle Herks, and her passion for promoting community theater that is inclusive and entertaining. Since its beginnings in 2003, Quick as a Wink Theater has touched the lives of countless participants and audience members, and the success of the theater is a testament to Michelle Herks' passion for promoting the arts in the community. The winner of this award each year is a volunteer who has gone above and beyond with their contributions to the theater. This year's Founders Award winner, Mark Wainman, has been involved with Quick as a Wink since its inception, performing in the Glory Days street scene in 2003. In 2013, Mark joined the Board of Directors and continued to build upon the strong foundation created by Michelle Herks. During the last 8 years, Mark has been instrumental in the rebranding of the theater and has been committed to developing Quick as a Wink into a professional company with an expectation of consistently high-quality productions. Mark is passionate about the arts, and his creative talents have been showcased in many productions as director, actor, singer, lighting designer, sound designer, and set builder. In addition to his artistic side, Mark is a successful manager and business person, a dedicated volunteer, and Mark has had a hand in all aspects of operations. From grant writing to policy making to managing our social media, email, and website, Mark's influence is felt everywhere. In the community, you can find Mark hosting Quick as a Wink trivia at the Spitfire or spending time doing maintenance at the theater's storage building. Our hardworking volunteers are the cornerstone of the theater company, and Mark's recognition of this has been paramount to the success of the theater. He recruits volunteers and board members and inspires those around with his passion for theater. Mark has been focused on connecting with the community, and he introduced our community partnership program, and he initiated fundraising opportunities for local groups with our performance previews. During Mark's time with the theater, Quick as a Wink has become a well-recognized and respected theater company, and his invaluable contributions make him a very deserving recipient of the Founders Award for 2020. We did another interview with all of the directors from the 5 shows in 2019 and 2020. It was a neat experience getting them all together in the same virtual space to discuss the similarities and differences in their directing experience with Quick as a Wink. Let's take a look.
I'm really glad to have you here today, Susan, and I'm so excited to ask you a few questions. So I'd just like to start, just tell me about yourself. So your life and, your hobbies outside of theater. And I'd also love to hear about your experiences in theater and, the arts.
Sure. Well, I'm a retired teacher, and actually my whole experience with directing in theater started in school, in education. And so, I've always, as an individual, I've always loved theater, always gone to theater and that kind of stuff, but never thought about directing. And it was in 1994, I was teaching grade 9 English at Sackville Heights Junior High. And a student came up to me and she said, "You look like the kind of person who would do drama club." And that was the beginning of it. That was the first time. And so we did drama club. I directed, we had 2 little 1 acts that we did.
Okay.
And learned a lot. And then I got really involved with EDANS, which was the Educational Drama Association for Nova Scotia, and learned a huge amount from the people in that association. And they were all high school teachers, whereas I have been teaching grade 9 English, but I was an elementary teacher. And so from there, I just started learning. So I have directed every year, with the exception of after I retired, since 1994.
Wow.
So it's all was through schools. And so after I taught at Sackville Heights Junior High, I went to West Hants and did a couple of shows there. And then the next year I went to Brooklyn and I did 16 shows at Brooklyn. And it's one of those things, you start off small.
Yeah.
And then it grows and it grows and it grows. And I went to Drama Fest one year and did some directing workshops.
Oh, okay.
With people. And I learned, I think, really one of the most valuable things that I have certainly applied to every show that I've ever directed since then. And that is motivation, right? So when you're working, because, my 16 shows that I did at Brooklyn, I was working with kids who were 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah.
And I had to get them to understand, why do you move on stage? You don't move because the director tells you to. You move because there's a reason for you to move. And, once they understand that, it just, all of a sudden, your actors, they take on,
they blossom.
Blossom. And you do a lot of character development beforehand. You got to do that. Who are you? Because you're not just saying those lines. You've got to create that real person. And you can do that with 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. You really can. And they just become. So it's wonderful. And so I retired in 2012. And, by that time, it was really nice. I had what I call my team. I had the people who had done my sound, my lights, my costumes, my props, my set, all of those things were really well established. And it was great because we worked together, we knew each other. Erin Dooley, my stage manager, she's the only stage manager I've ever had.
Wow.
She started with me when she was 15.
Wow, that's like a really strong connection. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it just, so when you have that kind of team surrounding you, it's wonderful. So that finally, when I get to Quick as a Wink, my first time ever working with adults, and I thought, oh, this might be different. It's not.
It's not.
You know what? It's absolutely no different. You still have to do all those things. You've got to do your character development. You've got to do your, like you've got to create that team around you. So when they asked me to do it, I said, oh, so I just started writing. Are you available? Are you available? Are you available? And right when I could get my stage manager and my costume mistress, I knew I was good.
You're set as soon as you have your team.
Yep, I had my team, and it was there were some wonderful things about working with Quick as a Wink because previously I had done it all. Oh, right, so I absolutely everything from choreography to music to right now I had help, but I was the one.
But it was all on you.
Yes, it was. So having a producer was wonderful. And when I learned, I could say, "Oh, Joel, I need this. Joel, I need that," and
it would appear.
It would appear. It was really that Joel was a great support during that period of time, and just everything. It worked out quite well. So that's how I got to Quick as a Wink.
Where you are.
And doing Sister Act.
I love that story, and it's something I can relate to because that's 10 to 12. That's the group that I work with most, and I do a lot of choreography and things. And I definitely understand, like, it's not about necessarily who's the most talented or skilled. It's really about motivation and like both for your character and like why they're moving, but also for yourself and like how empowering yourself to to perform.
The suspension of disbelief. Mm-hmm. You have to suspend that disbelief within yourself so that you can do it for your audience members.
That's very, very wise. Yeah. Great. So I just want to ask you a little bit about Sister Act itself. So mm-hmm. I'll give a bit of a recap about the story. So it's about an aspiring nightclub performer, and she witnesses a murder. So then she's put in the witness protection program, and she ends up in a convent with a group of nuns, and they're needless to say much more reserved than she is. So that's obviously a bit of a struggle for her, but then she finds joy in teaching music and dance to the nuns. And I saw the show. It was a while ago, but it was an amazing show, like musically, and it was just really fun. A lot of laughs. I really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to ask you, what does this production, and you talked a little bit about this already, but this production and the story within Sister Act mean to you? And through the production process, how did you work with actors and your producers and your music director to bring this meaning to life?
I think it all starts like your very beginning rehearsals. You have to establish. So what I saw, it was the transformation that I saw that happened in every single character, right? They all started in one place and really moved to, and it was overcoming prejudices, really, or insecurities, but it was obstacles that got in your way. And so when we first started, that's what we worked on. And so there's a lot of background exercises that we did. to try to think about you as the character, and not just you as your character, but the other characters, so that when you try to become Dolores or you try to become Mother Superior, then so we just did these exercises to try to broaden everybody's views so that they could come to understand their character. And you encourage them to grow throughout every rehearsal. But for me, that was the whole thing, was overcoming obstacles and to fulfilling your true potential.
Absolutely. And I'm good friends with Melanie, and I worked with Erica before, and they're as Dolores and Mother Superior, just like you mentioned, and they're both incredible actors, and I'm sure they were lovely to work with as people and as performers.
Well, I think the bottom line as a director, one of the things that you have to really do is understand that all of your actors, regardless of who they are, and this is another thing that's really important. I have said to 10-year-olds and I've said to 30-year-olds, there's no just. When they say, oh, I'm Justa, no, there is no just. Because every moment you're on that stage, you are just as important as any other character on that stage. And you have to bring that out. So that goes back to what I was going to, you need to support everybody emotionally. And so for me, it's really important to create that really cohesive group so that you're understanding and working. Everybody is equally important. Everybody plays a major part in creating the production. And actually, I was just talking to Melanie the other day.
Oh, that's great.
And it was like, I just miss the camaraderie that we had within the cast, and not just the cast, the musicians. It's really important to include your band, because your band is there supporting you as much as you're supporting them, right? It's not, I don't like the we they, it's an us.
Of course, it's all about cohesiveness, like you said.
And Morgan and I just worked so well together. We had a really strong, we talked and collaborated. And it was so funny because I can remember during some rehearsals going to her and saying, Morgan, could we cut the horns during that section? And she said, that's exactly what I told them. So we were just on this same wavelength all the time, which
that's amazing.
Again, what she did for this production, the work that she did was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's incredible that you've had such a good experience and such a good team to work with. And that makes me very happy that you enjoyed it so much. It's nice to see you reflecting on how much you enjoyed it. So it's good.
It was wonderful. And we're still, a lot of us, we still talk on Facebook and all the time. In fact, Erica just posted on our page a couple of days ago that somebody randomly came up to her and said, I saw you in Sister Act. It was the most incredible show, and I could watch it over and over and over again.
Oh,
and this
my
is
goodness.
a year plus later. And she said, I had to tell everybody because it was just so wonderful. And it was.
And that's a great way to connect to my last question I have for you, which is, what in your eyes, in your amazing opinion, your professional opinion, what makes theater special to audiences and to performers and to the team as a whole?
There's nothing like live theater. Watching a movie, watching TV, there is nothing that compares, because again, it's the same kind of relationship with a cast and the musicians. You have a relationship, a really strong relationship with your audience. And as I said before, it's that suspension of disbelief so that everybody is drawn in so that you're experiencing it together. The actors feed as much off the audience as the audience feeds off the actors. It's this symbiotic relationship. And that's what you're trying to create, is this community that lasts. It's a magical community that lasts for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't tell you how wonderful it is and how exhilarating it is when people, you can tell, you can feel it in the audience, that the energy that is there. And it just, that's what you're trying to do, is to create that for them and them to create that for you. And I think we did that.
I think you did too, especially with that feedback you received. I mean, I completely agree. There's nothing better than, as a performer, being backstage and being like, oh my gosh, the audience, the energy is amazing tonight. And it just puts so much more energy in your own performance. And again, it's that symbiotic relationship, like you said. Each needs the other to create this, beauty that is live theater.
Yep.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Susan. It was incredible just to talk to you. It's probably the highlight of my day.
Oh, well, thank you.
Great. So, so happy to have you here today, Dave and Lily. So you both have participated. Dave, you were the director of Dracula and Baskerville. And Lily, you were also the director of Dracula, and you were in Baskerville as an actor. So I'll start with Lily. Could you just tell me a bit about yourself, like your interests, hobbies, and theater, art?
Sure. Well, about myself, I am originally from Windsor, so Quick as a Wink has been sort of in my periphery for all of my life. And I've been into theater since I was a kid. And generally, standing up in front of people and yelling is sort of my jam. So I'm constantly at the ready. What else about me? Dracula was actually my first time directing. So that was an amazing experience, and I never really thought about getting into that position or that role until basically doing Baskerville. So those kind of two connect for me. As my side gigs, I work for Valley Ghost Walks, I write for them, and I act, as well as I do some writing of my own. I'm super into horror, if you can't tell from my background. Pillows.
I love it.
And also possibly tattoo work. So
Oh,
I'm super
very
into
cool.
it, and I was so lucky to get to work on two big horror things. So yeah, in my day-to-day, I'm just a government worker, and I got to live my creative dream through Quick as a Wink, and I'm pretty thankful.
That's amazing.
Me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's all very exciting. I love that. You live and breathe horror with your pillows and tattoos. It's amazing. So, Dave, let's hear about you.
Well, I work for the school board, so I work information technology. I work the IT department for the Valley School Board. I've only been with the school board about 4 years now. Prior to that, I worked 15 years in the defense and security industry. And I was just looking for a career change. It was a bit of a burnout. So I decided to apply for a job at the school board, got the job, which is great because it keeps me more local. I don't have to travel as much anymore. I take care of 8 or 9 schools in West Hants. And so in doing that, it frees up a lot of my spare time that I can dedicate to theater, and I do a lot of writing on the side. I've done a few short films. Just frees up a lot more time to be creative now that I work more local. And I've directed 3 shows with Quick as a Wink. So I've done Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap. That was 2018. And then 2019 was a very busy year because I directed 2 shows. I directed Baskerville, and then I co-directed Dracula with Lily. So it was during Baskerville. I had a conversation with Lily and said, "Hey, I've got this project coming up. I've put forward Dracula. I'm going to direct it, and what do you think about co-directing with me?" Because I mean, it was a huge project.
Oh yeah.
Lily and I had been friends for a while, and of course, I knew that she was into horror, and I just thought like this would be a perfect fit. Like this would be fantastic if we could team up and tackle Dracula, because it's such an epic story. Like it's such, the scope of Dracula is it's incredible, and yeah, I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. It was an amazing experience.
Oh yeah, it was an amazing production. I had the chance to see it, and I loved it.
Excellent.
I just thought it's so like engaging. I was like on the edge of my seat. I was up in the balcony, but
Oh,
it was
okay.
really cool. Yeah. So Dave, have you ever been on stage? Have you ever acted on stage? Or are you more behind the scenes kind of guy?
I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of guy. I have done some in front of the camera work with some friends on some of their short films.
Oh, okay.
But I've never actually been on stage. So the whole live on stage kind of scares me a little bit. I can definitely do in front of the camera, because obviously the safety net there. If I screw up, I can we can just kind of start over and hit the record button. But yeah, the whole live stuff, man, oh man.
You can tell that I'm a theater actor, because this whole time, while Dave was all like, "Oh, we can screw up, we can do it again," I've been dealing with the fact that while I was answering my question, I spilled my coffee everywhere. And I'm just like casually like, "Oh, just keep going.
Just
it's fine."
Cleaning up on the side.
It's a nice smell. So
very good. Yeah.
Yeah, directing is something that I've always wanted to do. I've always written stories. And my brain just constantly runs 100 miles an hour thinking about different scenarios and different blocking, and just so directing is something that I've always wanted to do, and just getting involved with Quick as a Wink has really allowed that outlet, you know what I mean, to take these stories and develop it and come up with a vision and bring it to the stage. So it's been incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the best thing about community theater is, amazing creative minds like yours, like both of yours. You get the chance to, put on these big productions and see all of your creative thoughts come to life on stage. So and it benefits the whole community who gets to see it. So it's great. So clearly, I mean, David, with you having done The Mousetrap and both of you being very into, mystery and horror, I'd like to ask you, I know you've answered, this isn't your first interview. You were also very willing to be interviewed for Dracula, but you answered then what your favorite horror film or novel was. And I was wondering if you could talk to me a bit about mystery. And I know those kind of overlap a little bit, as is demonstrated by the shows you've put on. But like, for example, my favorite mystery and horror, I guess, it's more of a thriller film, is Vertigo, like Hitchcock. I love that film. Because it's mystery, but there's also like creepiness. I love that movie. So I would love if you would share your thoughts. Lily, you can go first if you'd like.
Sure. I can even break it down into like three different categories, because like you said, like horror and mystery do really overlap a lot, and rightfully so, especially when you're talking about like murder mysteries. Like there's always a kind of a little element of horror to a murder mystery, even if it's like a gentle background one. Like, because like I love Murder, She Wrote. It's not qualified to be like horror. It's just not. But there's still murder in it. So I'm a big fan of Murder, She Wrote. But for when it comes to books, my top three are The House of Silk by Anthony Horowitz. It's a Sherlock Holmes story, one of the many non-canon Sherlock Holmes stories that you can find, and it's really well written. And Anthony Horowitz, as general as a mystery writer, is very good for young adults and adults, and I think he really transitioned into adult literature with House of Silk very well. It's an amazing story, and he characterizes Sherlock and Watson so well. My second one is Final Girls by Riley Sager. That is more of an overlap of horror because it's all about these three women who are connected by being the final girl in a murder slash slasher situation. And they're all the final girls, but then one of them dies, and they think that it's not necessarily by what they like incidental. They think it's something that could be affecting all of them. So they have to figure out what that is. And then my third favorite is a recent one that I just read, which is the Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning Murder Club. It's by Richard Osman, who's mainly known for British panel shows. He's a really brilliant mind. And it's all about these 4 retirees who have a true crime club at the retirement village. It's like the only thing that really combines them. Otherwise, they're all very different people. And then suddenly, in the village, there's a murder. So they try to help solve it. And it's got like Midsummer Murder vibes, and I love Midsummer Murders, and Murder, She Wrote vibes. So those are like my 3.
I feel like we need to like, I wanted to start like typing these out so I have like recommendations. That's awesome.
I'll make a list.
Thank you, and just distribute it widely.
Yes.
So Dave, what are your favorite mystery film stories, etc.?
Well, I'm always a big fan of the whodunits. I think those are, I mean, they're classics, right? I mean, and I mean, Agatha Christie pretty much defined the genre. And then there were none. Obviously, The Mousetrap, which she had developed as a play, it was never originally a novel. It was created as a play. But I mean, the whodunits would probably be my favorite. And the problem is that you can always trace pretty much any whodunit mystery back to an Agatha Christie type scenario or story. But I just find them so engaging. I mean, even the recent one, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it. It's called Knives Out, directed by Ryan Johnson.
Yes.
So good. Like it's essentially an Agatha Christie mystery done in 2020.
Yeah.
But it's so good, and it just never gets old. So from a non-horror but mystery standpoint, those would probably be my favorites, the whodunits. Aside from that, I definitely watch my fair share of horror. I read my fair share of horror. But I'm a longtime Stephen King fan, and I still buy every new book that the guy releases. I mean, not all of them are great, but they're engaging. I mean, there's a reason why he's the #1 writer in America. He knows his craft. He knows what he does. Some of the recent ones that I've read that I've quite enjoyed. Revival was actually the last Stephen King book that I read. It's not a new book. I think it's probably close to 7 or 8 years old now. So I'm going to say maybe 2014, somewhere around there. But it's got a mixture of Frankenstein, Lovecraft, and it's not outright horror. It's more drama, but it's drama mixed with thriller. And it's hard to describe. It's a hard book to describe, but yeah, it definitely mixes different genres, and I was blown away by it. It was amazing. It was probably one of my favorite books of his. And like I said, it's been out for a number of years now, and I just finished reading it probably about a month ago. It was amazing. So
yeah, wow, that's great. You both seem very, very passionate about this. Like, that's great. And I think, to me, what I like about horror, like reading or mystery reading or films or whatever, is often like you get this strange kind of phenomenon where you're like almost rooting for the killer. You're like, oh, that character is just like asking for it, essentially. You're like, they like get it over with, like,
don't go check out the noise outside.
Exactly.
Like, just don't.
And I mean, that's really interesting to me. And I think, in my opinion, I think that's one of the greatest sources of excitement that people get from these genres. But I want to ask you, like, and you can answer this together, what do you make of the excitement that people experience when they read or watch like mystery and horror pieces? And like, I guess, like, what do you think is the appeal of this genre?
You can go first, Dave. I went first last.
Sure. The horror genre is unique because it has such a wide appeal. So with horror, there are so many different subgenres. So with drama, you just have drama. With comedy, for the most part, it's just a comedy. But with horror, you can have horror comedies. And there's so many good ones. You can have, and again, jumping into the subgenres, you can go into stuff like cannibal horror, torture porn. There's so many different, so there's basically, long story short, there's usually, when it comes to horror, there's something for everyone. And the appeal I find with horror is, like most movies, like most entertainment, it's an escape. It's an escape from the real world. When I sit down and watch a movie, whether it's horror or a comedy or a drama or whatever, I just want to escape for 90 minutes. I want to turn off the real world and just put myself in the world of whatever movie I'm watching and just, completely envelop myself in there. So because horror has it's such a diverse genre, there's typically something for everybody in there. And I think that's why it's so popular. And, like most things, it'll have peaks and valleys. So, this year, vampire movies are popular, right? Like when Twilight came out, Twilight really wasn't horror, but Twilight did bring vampires back into the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the pure horror enthusiasts, all of a sudden we had this, smorgasbord of vampire movies. It was the same thing with The Walking Dead. When The Walking Dead came on TV, was a television show on AMC, it reignited the zombie subgenre of horror. I'm starting to get sick of zombie movies now, because it's been 11 and 12 years of, hey, if Walking Dead can do it, we can make a zombie movie. And it's just, it's done to death now. But I mean, zombie movies have been around since, Bela Lugosi's black and white I Walked with a Zombie, right? And then there was another resurgence in the 60s with George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, which kind of coined the term of zombie, and Dawn of the Dead, and all the Italian ripoffs, and so zombie movies, for example, have been around for years and years and years. But then all of a sudden, late 80s, they kind of died off, and then by the time we got into the 2000s, Walking Dead came on, and now we've gone like a decade again with zombie movies. So things are cyclical, and it's such a wide, diverse genre that there's literally something there for everyone.
Yeah, it's great.
I basically am happy to sort of expand on what Dave's saying, is that there's something for everyone. And there's also, I find with horror for me, because I find drama can sometimes hit too close to home for me. I'm a big film crier, and sometimes drama is just, it's too much. It's just too real. While horror helps me process things that I'm processing in real life with that safety net. So I can have a cathartic experience with a horror film without having to directly face the same feeling that I actually have. So for instance, because I have anxiety. And so during my day, I can have any time of fight or flight or freeze response. And you can't really process it in the moment. But if you're watching a horror film and you get that same response, you can actually take that safe space of, you're not actually in that horror film. So you're actually safe at home and actually think about stuff. And the best part about horror is that it takes what's in the zeitgeist and blows it up into different ways of how to deal with it. So with Dave saying that everything was cyclical, it's because human life is cyclical. So the rise in zombie films matches with either, like right this year, there's a bunch being put out because of the fact that we're all in a lockdown. we're afraid of a virus. We're all very much trying to survive something that we can't even control. And we're doing our best, but if you come into contact with someone, you could be next. And in the 60s, there was obviously like talks about civil rights and about the idea of having enemies that you can't quite understand, or are taking over a space that you don't quite understand. And vampire films in the 80s had to do with the fact of the HIV crisis, because vampires look like anybody else until they're not. And of course, there's a connection of blood. So it's all very sort of, it reflects what's going on in society. So the best example I can think of is that in like 1957, Ed Gein was arrested, and Ed Gein was a serial killer, or at least he was a lot. But he killed 2 people, but he'd also exhumed a lot of others. And his house was a house of horrors. It had body parts everywhere. It had things made of like skin, so like lampshades. And it had a room that was a shrine to his dead mother, who he'd also brought up from the grave. So he was arrested in 1957. 3 years later, Psycho comes out with a killer who was obsessed with his dead mother, who would in fact pretend to be his mother. And then not much long later, having had experienced and seen this on the news in his formative years, Tobe Hooper comes out with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which had Leatherface, a man who wore other's skin on his body. So it's sort of like those 2 films were processing the same event, but they're very different. Like Psycho is very different from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I think the appeal of horror is that you could have a moment in your life and not know how to deal with it, not know how to process it. And you could just be sitting there innocently watching some stupid slasher. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, it gets you thinking. And I think that there's something like that. And as much as it's just, there's bad acting, there's horrible makeup jobs, the blood doesn't look like blood. Like, there are films like that, pure escapism. But then there's ones, you get your films like Midsummer, which just came out a couple years ago, Hereditary, and then you do get films like Psycho. You get films like The Exorcist that you can delve into and kind of work through. And I don't find that as much through drama, because it's too real. It's too, I need to be removed. And that's what horror gives me. It gives me that removal from the situation, but still the time to actually think.
Yeah. Wow. That's very, very insightful. I had never thought of it that way before, but that makes total sense. Like, I mean, with any piece of art, like it can be, it's like a commentary on the human experience. And that's really interesting. And I think I will think about that more next time I watch a horror film or anything like that.
It's exactly what Dawn of the Dead is. So when George Romero wrote and directed Dawn of the Dead, it was commentary on society at the time in 1978. The zombies in the shopping mall are a direct reflection of us. And
the
that whole
consumerism
movie,
of the time.
the consumerism at the time, like it's a direct reflection on society, on us at that time. And a lot of people go into it thinking, oh, it's just another blood and guts zombie movie, but it's not. Like, a lot of these movies have a much deeper meaning, and the good directors are the ones that can do that. I mean, they write a deep meaning script, and on the surface it may look like something, but when you start peeling back and looking underneath, there's usually a deep message in there.
You think about how 28 Days Later just got added to Netflix and like soared up to like the top viewed thing during COVID. And it's because it's the same thing, where it's sort of like, when it was made, it was reflecting something else, but now people can still watch it and go, oh, okay, yeah.
It's like, I get it now. I get it.
oh yes. Like, because I've watched zombie films for years, as have you, Dave, and I'm sure both of us were like, why don't you just stay inside? Like, why don't you just like barricade yourself and stay inside? Yes. And then here we are.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks, but
Turns out, no.
No, I feel like we could talk about, like, you two are just both so like you know so much about this topic. I mean, obviously, because it's something you really enjoy, but it's really interesting because this isn't something that's like my wheelhouse. So it's been really amazing to talk to you both, and yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up here for now. But thank you both so much. And see you again soon.
See you again
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank you.
No, it was a lot of fun.
Thanks for coming to talk to me today, Thea, with your beautiful background and your tree. Very bright and summery. So I guess I'll just start by asking you to tell me a bit about yourself. So, your experience in theater, but then also, your interests and your hobbies and all about you.
Okay. Well, I currently am a working speech language pathologist. So that's my day job. But many, many years ago, I did my degree in theater performance at Northwestern University, and that was the plan, that I was going to go into the theater as a career actor. And then life happened, and I got married and had 4 children and made the switch to speech pathology. And I haven't looked back, because I certainly do enjoy, working with my students at school. And um, really being in speech language pathology, it's not much different from being on the stage, because you are performing for those little kids to keep them engaged, and also working on communication, which is also what theater is. It's another form of communication, right? So, so my hobbies and my life work are one and the same. And I've been really fortunate enough to be able to be involved in theater wherever I've been, whether it's been here in Nova Scotia or the year that I spent in Arizona or on Maui. There's always been a group, sometimes a professional group, sometimes a community theater group, that I've been able to be involved with. So that's I've been very fortunate in that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've known you since I started at Quick as a Wink. My very first show was directed. My very first like full length show that wasn't like a like just like a showcase I did for a theater class was with you. Was Annie back in? Was that 2016? I think
that was a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago, but that was actually my first show. So I've known you since then, and I did not know that you were a speech pathologist. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
That's fun fact that maybe people who work with you in the theater world don't know. But we did, though that was my first production very long ago, we did have the chance to work on Legally Blonde last in 2 Junes ago. June 2019. And you were the director of that show, and
you did the choreography, which was so great.
Yes, your trusty choreographer, dance. Well, not choreographer. We used the
dance teacher.
And
choreography adapter.
Yes,
you helped. We helped me to adapt it for our production.
Because we are not all Broadway actors as much as we would love to be, but I'd love to just reminisce a little bit about the production experience. And I mean, we can talk about highlights. We can
we will. But before, I want to just say something. It's so the fact that we went from you being in the chorus of Annie to being the dance coach for Legally Blonde, I think really captures one of the things that I love about doing theater in the schools and in community theater is that it's watching people grow in their skill level, in their interest level, in their engagement in the theater, the whole gamut. My favorite story about that was a young man in the first musical that I did at Wolfville Junior High School. We did Oliver, and who's going to play Fagin for middle school? And there only one boy came to the auditions actually prepared. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. And he was this long, tall, skinny drink of water and quirky and just, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll give it a go. He
Yeah.
was really keen. He was
Yeah.
keen. I thought, okay, he wants to do this. He's prepared. He's the only one that's showing interest. I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We worked and we worked and we worked. And through the whole process, I would see these little glimmers of, oh, there's something in there. We
Mm-hmm.
get to dress rehearsal and he's just like a puddle of nerves, a mess. And I'm
Oh.
thinking, oh, what have I done to this poor boy? He's going to go on stage. He's going to be even more marginalized. And he walked out on stage for opening night and he transformed. And
Wow.
he was Fagin so amazingly. It's just, I can remember sitting there the whole night just like this. So all the work that we had done had paid off. It was there. He did it. He took the leap of faith. And subsequent to that, he's now in the film industry. So,
Wow.
you know,
And that was in middle school.
that's why we do theater. That was middle school. Yeah. He was 7th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So
So
7th
that's why we do
grade to
theater.
like,
In schools, in the community, so that people can find out, learn a little bit more about themselves.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really interesting story. I love that. I feel like, you know, as you know, where you taught in the schools uh, throughout your career, that's like, I feel like that's very, very important. Like youth, working with young people in theater, I mean, that's something I'm passionate about too, is it's just, it's an important time to have, you know, educators like yourself who, you know, believe in these kids and, you know, eventually support them so that they eventually grow up to be exactly who they want to be, with no hesitations. And, you know, even if it's nerve-wracking to be that person, whether it's, you know, a character on stage or just who you are.
I mean,
keep
and
those
hopefully,
supporters.
yeah, and hopefully we've created a safe environment where people can do that. And even in community theater, working with adults, whether they're trained actors or not, you know, every show you do, you learn something about yourself and the world around you. And if you've created that safe environment, which we had to do for Legally Blonde because of the
Yeah.
subject matter, you know, if you didn't feel safe in that community, some of those issues would have been difficult to pull off. And I feel like, you know, we had a tremendously talented and skilled and trained cast.
Mhm.
But we also had some people who were community members. One person who was the very first time she'd ever been on stage.
Yeah.
And you know, seeing that all come together, I think everybody learned a lot by doing that show. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I was, of course, I ended up having to be the music director as well and being
I
in
remember
front of the
that.
pit orchestra.
So like director is watching very, very closely, but also doing the music. Yeah.
Yeah. So what that meant was that I couldn't really enjoy a lot of the stuff that happens backstage, which is where that family feeling is really lived and learned. So, but when I saw this video somebody had taken, was it Bend and Snap that was happening out front? I think it was Bend and Snap.
Yes, it would have been Bend and
And the
Snap.
guys the people were in the back. The guys in particularly were in the back, and everybody
Right.
backstage, stage crew, everybody were dancing and doing this whole number while
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
that's similar things. I mean, backstage before, it was during So Much Better. And you know, all of the sorority girls come up in their like white outfits and the hoodies with the letters. But before we like sprinted on stage, there's a video somewhere of us just backstage, just like jumping around and hyping up before we like sprint out on
Yeah.
stage. And that
Yeah.
energy
Yeah.
is just, you can't get it anywhere else.
No, you can't. And this is one of the reasons why I like that show, Legally Blonde. You know, there are lots of shows out there. There are lots of shows that get done all the time, and everybody loves them because they have fun music. And I love fun music, and I love good music, like beautiful or fun or musically complex music. But what's most important to me is that the show actually has a message worth telling.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in doing shows anymore that are just fun.
Yeah,
If
you
you
want
gotta-
there to be some substance to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think, what Legally Blonde does so well. It takes a very, very serious, a couple of serious issues. You know, the issue about being yourself and knowing who you are in order to be fully in a relationship with somebody else who accepts you and appreciates you for who you are, and not judging people by how they look. But also the issues of, you know, sexual assault and homophobia, and um, misogyny.
Yeah.
Right? So lots of really important issues, but throughout the whole show, you are left with this feeling of hope, like we can make this world a better place. We can.
It is. Yeah.
Right?
And it's it's a feel good show, but it's still, but I feel like a lot of that is because it addresses those issues that are so like prominent, or like that unfortunately they prevail in our society, like, and they Legally Blonde addresses all of these issues and offers a message of, like, you know, resilience, and that we can
I'm glad you said that word, resilience. Yeah, absolutely. It models resilience and kindness and acceptance, and yeah.
And I feel like Elle Woods like really challenges a stereotype, and that's the exact that's the point, is she is, you know, like the dumb blonde stereotype, and she's just a sorority girl, but everyone underestimates her and they judge her by her appearance, and then at the end of the day she's the valedictorian, and it teaches people to, like, you should expect nothing less, like, of yourself from anyone. And I personally, Elle Woods is a role model. Like, she is it, you know. So
she is fully feminine and fully powerful, all in the same, you know. I don't know, as women, so many times that there's this push that if you want to be successful in the world, you've got to be more
masculine, traditionally.
Less emotional, less, you know, and yet at the same time, if you do that, then you're criticized as being, you know, a nasty woman. But no, she just does it all, and she does it on her terms, and she manages to find somebody who appreciates that. So that's, I guess, that's good. That's hope for everybody, right?
It's definitely an amazing message that I feel like we all encounter every day, that it's just it's amazing. So I want to ask you another question. So what is it about the theater that makes you return to the stage as a performer? Because you didn't really mention that you are also an incredible singer. I don't know if I've ever seen you dance, but I'm sure you're a great dancer and an actor, just performer. So what is it about theater that makes you return to the stage as a performer, or as a director, you know, time and time again? Because I always see posters, you know, in the community that are either featuring Thea Burton or, you know, directed by Thea Burton. You're always around. So,
well, you know, it's funny. My training is in classic theater, stage theater. You know, the music side of it. Was sort of separate from my theater training. I played the piano from a young age. Was always singing in choirs and stuff like that. And I took dance on the side. But my training in theater was on the stage doing serious drama, which I still love. You know, to be able to have a role that is so complex and meaty, and you know, whether it's Shakespeare or Edward Albee or Tennessee Williams or Chekhov, those classic, or something more contemporary even, you know, to have a character that you fully immerse in, and and become a different person is, I think what keeps coming back is because when you do that, in order to do that, you have to start seeing yourself in these characters that are completely different from who you are.
Yeah.
And yet there's always a kernel of those characters that you can relate to. And in doing that and immersing, you learn more about yourself and the understanding of the world and compassion for people who often are really struggling. It just grows. So there's that attachment there, I think, that keeps me coming back to theater. The musical theater keeps coming back because, unlike the stage stuff that I do, like the Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, or, we did August Osage County. I wasn't in that, but I directed that. Those are very hard stories. And oftentimes the audience leaves feeling very emotionally just ripped right open. Musical theater, you usually leave singing, and I love that too. Um, but I guess for me, whether I'm directing or on stage, I make those decisions based on, is there a role in this show that would be good for me to do? Well, then I'm on stage, baby.
Yeah.
but if there isn't, and it's a really good show, a good production, and I have a vision for how it can look, then I'm equally as fed by being the director and help pulling that all together and collaborating with the actors on stage and the musicians and the pit orchestra to really pull together what the best of what everyone has to bring to the table, and to facilitate that collaborative experience. Yeah.
And to create that connection between people. I mean, the actors and the audience, and the director and the actors, and the director slash, I mean, if you are the director and the music director, I guess there's an unbreakable connection there. But the director,
not recommended, by the way. But in a pinch,
don't try it at home. Don't try it at home.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, I think that's very insightful, and using characters to explore yourself, and helping actors do the same thing as a director, and holding character studies with those actors. That's an important job aside from the entertainment aspect of theater.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the side that I think really can help people with mental health struggles, is that getting to a place where you are completely vulnerable and open to exploring yourself and seeing yourself in a different way, and holding on to the things that you really value about yourself, and being willing to change the things that you want to change.
Yeah. That's very insightful. Thank you, Thea. So we'll wrap it up here, but thank you so much for speaking with me and sharing your thoughts, and just I appreciate you, and I
miss you. I miss you. Yeah,
I miss you too. I always have looked up to you in the theater world, and just as a person. So it's always lovely to talk to you.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to be doing in the years to come.
Thank you.
That's a big part of it, isn't it? I just beam every time I see somebody that I've watched grow through the theater, what they're doing, whether it's in theater or not. What you learn from being in the theater, you take with you in whatever career you end up doing. So I look forward to seeing it.
Those directors all had very unique experiences in getting their vision to stage. I've worked with several of them as both an actor and as part of the production team, and I can tell you that they're all very passionate about what they do.
Hi, my name is Kelly, and during the 2019 season, I had the pleasure of being part of Oliver, Legally Blonde, and helping out backstage at Baskerville. Being part of the backstage team has given me a whole new perspective and appreciation for all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. But sometimes things do not always go as planned. For instance, during Oliver as Mrs. Sowerberry, I was to walk on stage carrying a battery-powered candle, and when I was to walk off stage, I was to blow the candle out. Unfortunately, as I got halfway across the stage, the candle would go out. So I would carry on with the scene and blow the unlit candle out and carry on off the stage. But as soon as I walked through the curtains off the stage, the candle would come back on. And this went on for the entire first weekend of the show. And it wasn't until Monday, after the first weekend, that it occurred to us that the candle was in fact a light-activated candle, and it was not going to get any better throughout the rest of the show. I've really enjoyed being part of the Quick as a Wink family. I love seeing the show through from the auditions till the very end to set strike. And I know there's times when probably we all think during the process that why are we doing this to ourselves? But by the end of the final show, I'm looking forward to the next show, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you again.
Without a strong director, bringing a written script to the stage with consistency and passion is impossible. The nominees for Best Direction are
And the winner is Thea Burton, Legally Blonde. Congratulations, Thea. It was a really fun show to be in. I'm glad I chose that one to get back on the stage after many years. Congratulations.
You can't have a musical without good music. Over the years, we've been lucky that there have been so many talented band leaders in our community. Not only does a music director lead the band, but on our case, they often help with the singing parts throughout the production of our musicals. It's a lot of work, and we're lucky to have these great nominees for Best Music Direction as part of our team.
And the winner is Morgan Banfield, Sister Act. Congratulations, Morgan. Now, we've got a pre-recorded video for you before we wrap up the show with the final awards. Back in early 2018, we started to pull together the vision for the 2019 season. For the first time, we decided to perform 2 musicals and 2 plays. We usually have 3 musicals and 1 play. We forged ahead with this format, and I'm happy that we did because we had 2 extremely successful plays in Baskerville and Dracula. We caught up with the cast of Dracula a few weeks ago to reminisce.
Hi, Dave.
Welcome to the Dracula cast reunion show, Mike.
Cool. Oh, is that tonight? Sorry, I was just having some supper. What's new? What's up? How are you?
I'm great. I mean, I'm missing theater like a lot of us, but you know, it's great to have this reunion show. It's great to kind of get everyone together tonight and talk about Dracula. Well,
I'm excited. I'm excited to see everybody. It's been a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. What have you been doing since Dracula?
Oh, you know, I had a couple of shows that followed Dracula, and then I was in a show last March. Hard to believe it's been a year. That was shut down because of COVID. So it's just been kind of doing other things, getting involved in whatever we can, waiting for things to open back up again. So it's been rough, but oh well. I'm glad we got to do some of the projects we got to do before everything shut down, and especially this project, especially Dracula. I've got a lot of fond memories, so it's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, Dracula was the last big production that I worked on because Quick as a Wink did Sister Act in January, which
Yes.
was after Dracula, and then that was our last show because everything was effectively shut down in March. So
That was it, which is hard to believe. It has been over a year.
absolutely, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so it's going to be great to get everyone together tonight and bring
I
up
know. Some
memories.
I haven't seen since Dracula, I don't think.
Absolutely,
I'll know them when I see them.
Sounds good.
Yep.
And of course, we can't have a cast reunion show without my co-director, Lily Ashdown. So Lily's actually in the waiting room. So
let's bring the real one in.
Let's bring the real one in. So it's, oh, look at that. Awesome. So just give me 1 second. I'm just going to message Lily just to make sure that she's ready, and we'll bring her in.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Hello.
Oh.
How's my co-director?
Clap.
How's my co-director doing?
I'm good. Living the dream, being shut up in a place all by myself for months on end.
Right.
So, loving it.
Love the spooky pillows.
Thank you. I collect them.
I love them.
And very appropriate.
Yes. Also, I have my spooky t-shirts, which is the song that we played during the bows of Dracula.
Oh,
cool. Stay dead and out of this world.
Yes, I love it.
Best bow music ever.
Right?
So good. Made for vampires.
I know.
Look at us. We were so different.
I got so a year ago.
A year and a bit.
Yeah,
so a year and a bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh my
so
goodness.
yeah.
So what about you? What about you guys? Have you also been shut up, or is this pandemic just me?
I mean, I've been working a lot and doing like council stuff, but no theater. So I've just been, I've just been going over my lines for when we get to redo it.
When we take it on the road on tour.
Totally.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's fair.
I kept my props, but am I the only one that kept my props?
Well, technically, like, we didn't have any props.
That's true. Oh, I guess. Yeah, I need cast to support me here.
Yeah.
I stole the banner that was hanging on the castle. I have that somewhere. I have it though.
I have my whole costume, so it's okay. Like,
it's legit.
Absolutely.
I kept everything.
I feel now that I let myself down. I let the team down. I should have kept that crypt.
We should
crypt
ask the cast who took some of the props, because I know there's some missing for sure. I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Has the shoe necklace for the blooper lady.
Oh.
That's that. I took the banner with the Dracula crest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The shoe necklace was the creepiest prop ever.
What one?
The shoe necklace was the creepiest prop.
Yes.
Like hands down. I loved it.
Yet no one took the bone throne for like a romantic evening.
They wouldn't let me. I couldn't get that out into the car in time.
You're trying to put it in your pocket as you left.
I refuse to get rid of the bone throne. So believe it or not, the bone throne still exists, and it's in the prop room at the Quick as a Wink building.
Just in case.
You never know.
You never know, another play may call for a bone throne.
Pray, what news?
Oh, fantastic. No, this is
this
great. So we have a whole bunch of people in the waiting room ready to jump on.
I know.
Virtual cast and crew reunion. So how about I just add everyone in and we can.
Oh God.
All at once.
I can't hold up their headshots fast enough.
No, you have to do it as fast as you can. Like full on. Lucy and the conveyor belt it. Just keep throwing them up in the air.
I just can't. I don't know what to do.
Everybody has to yell out their name as they appear. Oh my gosh. Everybody, you got to put on your videos. You got to put on your audios. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Someone dressed up. I'm not naming names.
Oh my gosh, they're all there.
Love it. Look, everyone's popping online.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yay. Hello. Hi, Ian. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Mina. I did character name too.
Pokeroo.
Naomi.
I'm in my pillow fort.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Pillow fort.
Of course you are.
Love it.
Oh my God, Dave, I love the background.
Thank you. Yes. Representing.
That's beautiful.
Mike, I'm living for you, even having your Renfield rat here. Like, this is sending me.
I mean, I should put on my sneakers.
And Nikki's
Plus, I've
We
got
were
all
just
our
talking
headshots.
about that.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, the headshots. You're nailing it. Mike's
All
nailing
the
his job.
All the headshots are in my office right now.
For this or just in general?
You know, Mike. He keeps
It was a very attractive cast. Who wouldn't want to keep those around all the time, you know?
It would be impossible to get.
She's got a point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, and Ian's coming to us from New Year's Eve in 1997.
I know.
Exciting.
Where's Tabby?
He was trying to join. He was in the room. Carl was there.
Said he left.
Okay, Brian's there. Holly's there. We've got Naomi. We've got Allie. We've got Erica.
Ooh, are we on a dinner date with Nikki and Ian?
Right?
I know.
Go.
Be right back.
There we go.
Oh, he has no hair. Look at the photo difference.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he grew his hair out for Dracula as well.
Yes.
Yes. He did that for us.
Master.
That's hard work.
Yes, I put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, growing
much
hair,
effort.
man. It's hard.
I'm telling you.
Before I cut it, it was longer than it was in that show.
Love it. Good. I like a good big makeover moment.
What y'all been up to?
So many things.
Oh, Ian's got a voice now.
Hey.
Here he is.
Hi.
Ah.
Happy New Year.
I know.
It is.
That's so
It is,
shady.
isn't it, David? You're supposed to say Happy New Year the first time you see someone in the new year, and I guess this is the first time.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, that was the logic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Get it.
I
Highly
guess.
believable. Highly believable. That's the acting that we wanted when we got you for the role,
It
Ian.
was so believable. We had no idea what was going on.
Delivering to this day.
I'm always on, Lily.
I can tell, except for earlier when your audio wasn't.
Yeah.
Who's holding up? Who's not here? So this is like the full. Is this all of us?
So
a good
Carl's
collection.
not here, Jen's not here.
I don't have a Jen headshot.
Right.
Oh no.
Right now.
Tabby.
Dave, when you edit
Tabby.
this together, can you just throw up random selfies? Everybody's not here.
Hello, Ali. Ali's here.
Hello.
There we are.
Hello.
I think that's everyone.
Oh, is that all? Oh, that's a shame.
I think so.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, quick introduction.
Is that
Winkie?
This is a crappy riff-raff bunch of people.
So,
I paid for.
I'm going
I
to
can't
go
believe I
around.
took time out of my Tuesday to be roasted.
Oh.
I'm going to go around the room here, guys. So we've got Butler played Renfield. Lily and I co-directed. We have Jeannie that played Lucy. We have Nikki as one of the vixens. We had Ian as Van Helsing. We had Erica playing the role of Mina. We had Allie as one of the vixens. We had Naomi as one of the attendants, and it was a dual role. It was the attendant and what was the other one?
You were a maid.
The maid, yes.
Maid.
And then we had Ryan, of course, who played Dracula.
Yes. I just
Blah, blah, blah.
Dracula. So welcome, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Dracula was such an iconic character. It's a classic literary story. The story is over 100 years old. There's been so many different adaptations, and you know, when we created our adaptation of the show, you know, we tried to make it as memorable as possible. And I just wanted to throw out to the cast and crew, what memorable moments of the production stood out to you guys? You know, things on stage, what scenes stood out, or what moments of that production stood out most for you guys?
Immediately, when you stood back and looked at the scene, the scene with the trees in the background and the lighting from the rear, the first thing that struck you, obviously, before anyone's come on stage, the scenery was incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was. Yeah.
It was
You were
beautiful.
so lucky
It
to have
created an
Stephanie.
atmosphere without anyone being on the set. Yeah.
I can think of a few scenes. I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Is that my feather? Okay, I'm so sorry.
Good one.
Oh.
I know.
Did you prepare for this, or
I have everything on my desk.
Mike.
Rat feathers. I got
Love
my
you got the rat
here. I just
love
got
it.
my script. I'm telling you.
My
Oh my
goodness,
God.
you're ready.
I feel drastically
Oh my
underprepared now.
I just brought the shoe.
You look it.
No, there's a shoe.
Yes, Jeannie's wearing her shoelace, her shoe necklace.
I love the reveal of the Bloofer Lady.
mean-
like that was a great moment visually when
Yeah.
Jeannie came out. Like, and that was a really quick change for you as well. Like people were basically throwing makeup at you and like just getting you into clothes, and that, of course, very much thanks to Nikki as well.
Oh yeah.
I think the best was when you couldn't stop laughing when I was putting your makeup on. So I was trying to do your makeup around your whole face was going. So that was my favorite.
It was like 2 minutes. Do it.
Yeah,
It was nothing.
you were going from like regular to Bloofer drag.
Yeah.
2 minutes flat.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
The hallway was like a scene from Dexter. There was so much bloody clothes all over the place.
Yeah, there was lots of
It
blood.
was in the back, and the stage itself was like you're sticking. Like my knees were stuck in blood every night. I'm like, is that the corn syrup? Is that real? Is that I don't?
Didn't know at
You had
that
to mix
point.
it up.
Yeah.
There was one night, I don't know if you remember, there was one night in particular where where Lucy squirted the
Yes.
the blood
On your forehead?
No, never mind that. It came out at such an angle. It shot about 15 feet off the stage.
Well, the night
almost
we
hit
needed the
the pic-
splash zone.
Into the speaker.
Yeah, in the splash zone.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
on the speaker. Yeah.
Right to the audience.
Here.
It came out at such a weird angle. I watched it go. I was like, "Ooh, God, look at that!"
Well, that was
Yeah.
the best part. Every night watching, like you and Andy and Dave try not to tennis it, like you were trying not to go, which is so good. And one night, the arc that did go up and land directly on
Right in the speaker. Right in the speaker.
On the
We were this
speaker. It
close
must
to
have
hitting
shot
the
15
audience.
feet.
We were,
Yeah.
we were this close to hitting the audience. When we had
Yeah.
to clean up afterwards, there was blood down the steps and out onto the hardwood floor in front
Yeah.
of the stage. Literally
Next
this
time.
close to hitting the audience. It was amazing.
I
It was.
tried. I just couldn't get it that far.
I
The
know.
there was a mixture of gasps and laughter every night, you know, because
Yeah.
it was so close to being slapstick almost. It was so close to being slap. Oh no, this meeting no longer has a time. Oh, sorry, I just got something to come up on my
Oh,
screen.
mine
now. I
too.
thought-
It's good.
everyone.
Oh, okay, it's good, is it? It really was. It was so much fun. It was just such a blast.
So I'd like to hear from Naomi because coming in just a little bit, I can imagine just sort of showing up and there we all are, dressed like that and looking like, and then here, let's go out on stage and do this. I'd like to know what her favorite moment was of the whole production.
I think it was really interesting jumping in partway through, and the first rehearsal I think was rehearsing the scene where the baby gets pulled apart, and I was just sitting on the side reading the script, trying to figure out what was happening, where I was going to come in, and I was like,
Welcome to the cast.
Dang, we did it so many times. It's fine.
So many times.
We weren't asking you to fill in for the baby.
No.
I hope someone made that clear.
We did at the beginning, but we thought, no, she's too nice. Yeah.
I
It would
know
be
a
heavy
baby,
method actor.
a baby eating memory that always stands
I
out to
wouldn't-
me. Sorry, go.
No, go
Is it I'm gonna be quiet. Sorry, I think I've got a lag.
just the fact that the stairs were like light gray when the production started, and by the end had turned pink just from like mopping up the baby's blood was definitely something I laughed about a lot.
So much blood.
So much blood.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing was still on the last night, Mike, when you had to come up when you were playing your violin. It was the one night that you actually traced down my like comatose body with the bow. And it was so unexpected. I just remember like immediately holding my breath because I was gonna like jump off of the bed in fright in front of the audience. Like you pulling that and like terrifying me backstage. Like those are the memories. I'm like, I think, I was there. That happened. That wasn't an out of body experience.
I don't know how many times I crept up on Jen and Holly and like sniffed their neck and like crawled all over the place, you know?
Constantly.
Well, and not having my glasses on was the worst, right? Because I couldn't see you coming.
I sniffed you and I licked you. It's fine. It's cool. We're good.
That's something that's actually really notable. The fact that a good portion of our cast were visually impaired and at times like blind. Like
I had no depth perception.
I couldn't see anything.
No, Ryan couldn't see coming down the stairs. I couldn't see crawling. We were blind.
The fact that none of us fell down those stairs.
I was having a great time.
Oh, wait,
I could see only white.
Didn't she?
I almost.
Yeah, because Allie tripped. Did you not?
No, I survived. I thought I broke a wrist and had a cast for a while, but apparently afterwards it wasn't broken and I wore a cast for the past 3 shows for nothing. Thank you. My extremely excellent bones. But shout out to Jen and Holly for wrapping me up in saran wrap every single night for the past few shows. They did such a great job. My cast stayed intact, and I encountered some parents of one of my friends after a show one night, and I had broken a limb in one of my previous shows. So as a joke, they were like, "Oh, well, good thing you didn't break anything this time." And I was like, "Well, actually," and comes out of the sleeve of the costume where I've been hiding it. So we had excellent costumes, great for hiding the cast, an excellent crew of people looking out for me, making sure that my cast survived. It was excellent.
Well, at least your cast was good. I'm
New
here all
Year's
night.
Let's talk about the costumes for a second. The costume design for this production was outstanding. It was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the vixens, the period costumes that we used for Dracula, for Van Helsing. I mean, Van Helsing's the overcoat. It was. I still get comments on that. Who was the guy that played Van Helsing? Man, I love that coat that he wore.
It was a wolf.
It was amazing.
It wasn't the acting they were commenting on, to be clear.
Exactly.
Who is that guy? He wore that coat really well.
He really did.
That coat stole every scene.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that cape.
The ripoff.
Yeah. Fear of the cape getting blood on it.
Oh.
Too
the
real.
cape.
It's beautiful though.
It weighed, because I mean, I used to have to help Ryan into it, and it weighed a ton. Like, I don't know how you carted that thing around on you for 2 hours.
After the show, I actually ended up calling in to work one day because my back and my abdominal muscles were killing me because I didn't have that weight on anymore.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's tuned in to watch this reunion show as part of the Winkies, for those that don't know, the specific cape that Dracula wore for this production was actually from a production of Phantom of the Opera from Toronto. So Jen Alexander, who was one of our stage managers, was it a friend or a relative? I can't remember, but
I think it was her aunt.
Yeah, she had a contact that worked in the theater industry in Toronto, and they were getting rid of old props that they no longer needed. And one of them was one of 9 capes that were created for the Toronto production of Phantom of the Opera. So they donated it to Quick as a Wink, and we used it as Dracula's cape for this production. So it was pretty amazing.
So where is it now, David?
It's does Jen have it right now? Holly, do you know, or?
I think
Jen took it.
I think she's got it for safekeeping.
Yeah, I think Jen's
Lock and key.
got it stored away. Yeah.
So Ryan's back. My knees, hand, throat. Who else had an injury? Raise of hands. Who?
I got hit with a
very
hammer
hand.
most nights.
Yeah. You were hammered both nights? What?
Most nights. When they went to go, stake me, they'd also like hit me in the chest or the, or the hand.
Oh, well, everybody gets steak now and again.
I think I still have permanent knee damage from most of that show.
You still
I was
have
lucky
bruises
that it shot in the eye
up and down my body.
Yeah.
That's
Totally
fair.
worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Every one of your injuries was totally worth it.
And very visible on stage, actually.
Very visible. Y'all went through every single one of those pains like pros.
Yep.
Did anybody do any sort of research, or what kind of research did you do to prepare for your role in this production?
I watched Van Helsing.
You watched Van Helsing.
Good.
The really bad good one.
I think
Because
you'll find the really good bad one.
Yeah,
the really good bad one. Those are the exact vixens I loved. I just love them so much, and they're so
Dracula
extra. And
was
that's what I
married to
wanted.
one of those vixens.
Yeah.
So that's how good they were.
Yeah.
Loved them. You brought it. You brought that vixen.
Literally, when I looked at you, I was like, Lily, I don't want to do anything in your play other than a vixen. I want it so bad.
So true.
That was my research, David.
Yeah. Yes. Bram Stoker's
It's not really not much of a research for it, but obviously you don't have to. You can go into completely blind, of course. But Anthony Hopkins, he's not too shabby an actor. I thought I'll give that a whirl, and I'd seen it years before, and and his version of Van Helsing was to me was really massively eccentric and fun and completely over the top. And so I didn't want to go there, but it was nice to use that as a starting point. Tone that down an awful lot, because I thought that was great. I really loved the movie, but I thought it was crazily mad the way that who directed this? Michael, no.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Coppola.
There we go. He's done one or two movies by all accounts. And if that's the way he wanted to go with it, fine. I don't think you did you, David and Lily?
I like how you had like a blend of Anthony Hopkins, but you also had sort of an element of the seriousness that you find in like a Father Carreras from The Exorcist. And like you have a little bit of that, especially with that lighting and that when you went to go off the stage at the end, it was very, very far, like Last of the Exorcist moment.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, that's your directing.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, and interesting about the ending. So we had decided, remember, Lily, that our ending actually cuts short the script. So the script actually had a component at the end where
I came out
on stage, you're holding up the head of Dracula. It was just it felt out of place. It felt odd. It just didn't feel right. So we thought it would be a lot better just to end it with, Dracula's defeated, Mina and Harker run off, and Van Helsing does his final monologue, and then walks off and the lights dim, and it was such a good ending. Just ending it right there. I thought it was.
Well, we started with this really seriousness into farce kind of feeling, and then we ended with this almost farcically tragic, a big ending of Dracula dying and the screaming and the everything, and then Helsing bringing it down. So Renfield brought it from a small point to a huge point, and we kind of just zeroed it back down, because with Renfield doing the head thing at the end of the play, he's supposed to come out with the head of Dracula on a platter.
On a platter.
Oh wow!
And I was
It
supposed to be
it was a bit
back
of a thing.
to normal, like the way I was at the beginning of the play when I'm sitting in the chair. It was so weird.
Yes, because we've
You're
taken
telling
you
me
so
we missed
far
out on like a
past.
prosthetic Ryan head.
I have one of those too, but that's just a fun thing.
Yeah, that's.
I kept going over that ending and rereading it and rereading it, trying to figure out how can we make this work. But I didn't feel it.
Oh my God, the rat.
I found a copy of this specific adaptation of the
rat
on YouTube, and I watched another production company that actually went through with that ending from the script, and that just, to me, that sealed it. Nothing against that particular production, but I wasn't feeling it, and it didn't sell me. So I'm glad we made the decision that we did by cutting that particular part of the end.
For sure.
It felt a lot more final, I think, not to do that at the end, like not to take it from that gorgeous scene that we had at the end where everybody's kind of somber and serious and it's really over, to take that other step. It would have just felt, I think the audience would have almost felt like they were getting whiplash, because then all of a sudden like, Renfield's normal again, and oh wait, there's a head, where did the head come from, because didn't he like it just would have risen so many questions, I think, for the audience, and it would have left them on a much different note than I think we did.
It kind of takes a dark, somber play and then almost adds a layer of slapstick to it at the end that just totally didn't fit. So,
and I didn't want to memorize more lines, so that worked out.
Exactly.
All that Renfield was saying was basically just FYI, nightmares come back.
I'm good. He did.
So like basically Van Helsing was giving us the same one without the need for prosthetic head.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Well, it was fantastic seeing everyone tonight, getting together for one of these virtual reunions. Hopefully we can do more of these, and hopefully theater opens again soon in Nova Scotia. We got to keep beating back COVID so that we can get back to some sort of normal routine, or normal-ish routine, I guess. And the goal is, at least for us, creative individuals, theater-minded people, we'd love to be able to get back on stage and direct and act and produce and all that good stuff. So hopefully that day will come real soon. And we've got an extremely talented team here that I know we'd all love to work together again sometime soon and put together another show. So it was working with everyone. And
Ian again.
Sorry,
Ian, go ahead.
Can I self-promote? Can I self-promote theatre?
Absolutely.
Okay. I was lucky enough to land the role of Uncle Vanya in which is going on in November with the Warfield Theatre Collective. So that's exciting, and it's a big chunky role.
Yeah.
And so at least there is obviously theatre going on in the Valley.
Yes.
But COVID aside, there is stuff that's going on. So at least if you're looking to come out, and of course, A Light in the Piazza goes on in June, July as well. So
okay.
Yeah. So there is some theatre going on, but let's get Quick as a Wink back on the map again as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Yep, that's the goal for sure.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, have a good night, everyone, and thanks again for tuning in for this reunion show. Hope everyone had a great time, and we'll all stay in touch, and have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Guys.
Bye.
Take care. See you all again soon.
Num 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 num.
There is no joy to be had in such a victory. The web of darkness is constantly being woven, and from the ashes of conquest is born revenge. And so we vow to remain vigilant. What we have seen with our own eyes and heard with our own ears will remain with us always. Not as memory, but as living truth.
I loved that show. I loved doing it, and I loved getting an opportunity to interview the cast again. It was a nice reunion.
You know, theater would be nothing without the audience members. We rely on you to continue wanting more theater, so we have a reason to produce it. Our mandate as a theater arts society is to educate the public on performing arts. That education can come through acting with us, volunteering with us, or sitting in the seats enjoying new experiences with us. Our audience is what keeps us ticking.
And when you're involved in the production of one of these large shows that you've poured your heart and soul into over months and months, the audience and their reaction is the payment for all that hard work. That's why this award is so special to me and to the other actors in the theater. The People's Choice Award. Chosen 100% by you, the people, the audience, and the fans.
You narrowed down a very large list, and I'm proud to award the People's Choice Winkie Award to Now for the final awards, the ones you've likely been waiting for the whole night. Featured and lead acting awards. We'll start off with the lead actors in a play. Each of the acting awards will be presented to 2 winners based on panelist and survey feedback. The nominees are and the winners are Isaac McWhinney for Baskerville and Mike Butler for Dracula. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everyone. And the nominees for featured actor in a musical are And the winners are Ryan Harvey and Stephanie Philman, both from Sister Act.
And finally, the nominees for lead acting in a musical are And the winners are Becca Gildeson from Legally Blonde and Erica Fitzgerald from Sister Act. Congratulations.
Congratulations to them and to all of our winners. We had a lot of fun presenting the 2020 Winkie Awards in the 2020 Winkie Awards in 2020 and virtually. That is a mouthful, Mark. Yeah. Mark, I've had fun working with you over the last 6+ years. I haven't aged a day.
Yeah, I have. Me too, Mike. It's been a lot of fun molding these awards into something we can be proud of. We both agree we're retiring from hosting after this. It's time to let somebody else take the torch and run with it. I only wish our last gig had actually been on stage.
If only. To everyone who turned into this special presentation, we thank you. To the Winkie Committee, who worked tirelessly to get this program on the virtual stage, we appreciate all your work. And a special thanks to Dave and Jeannie Miles, who brought the necessary expertise to the technology side of this performance. We would have looked absolutely foolish without your video and tech work.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. We can't wait to get back on the stage with you. Quick as a Wink may have slowed down, but we will return to the stage when we're allowed. And when that happens, you bet that the wait will have been worth it.
Hey, I'm Ryan McNabb. You might remember me as, that guy who is either gay or European. Spoiler alert, he's both, from Legally Blonde, and also Dracula from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah, I guess I got started with Quick as a Wink because they needed someone to play Nikos, and my buddy Erica was like, hey Ryan, you don't have a life, want to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then Dracula was just like, I want to do that, and it was cool. I got Dracula. People were surprised, so was I. I guess what keeps me coming back every time is I get to work with my friends and people like what I do. And if I said narcissism wasn't a part of it, I would be lying to all of you. And I'm not really sure what else to say. I was also supposed to be in the dinner party, which got canceled thanks to COVID. Everyone, let's have a big old groan over COVID. But I digress. So, that's it. I'm gonna leave. I know this is super awkward. I'm super awkward. And in case you're wondering, no, I'm not wearing pants. Thank you. Good night.